Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb. Today on the program, Sara Duterte takes her oath as the country's next vice president. The Octa Research Group projects 400 daily COVID cases in Metro Manila and 1,000 nationwide this week. And health workers from private hospitals have yet to receive their COVID-19 allowance. Political analyst Roland Simbulan and health spokesperson Maria Rosario Vergere join us live. Sara Duterte repeats her call for national unity as she took her oath as the country's 15th vice president on Sunday. But her inaugural speech also reflected some very personal issues, including her relationship with her father, outgoing President Rodrigo Duterte. Our senior correspondent David Santos has more.
The voice of 32.2 million Filipinos was loud and clear. I am now the Vice President-elect.
Sara Duterte speaking after being sworn in 2 weeks earlier than President-elect and running mate Bongbong Marcos. Her parents, outgoing President Rodrigo Duterte and Elizabeth Zimmerman, standing witness as she is administered the oath of office.
My life is a testament to the power of a God.
She earlier attended Mass at the San Pedro Cathedral with husband Man Scarpio on her side. Her foray into politics, from Davao City Vice Mayor to becoming the nation's Vice President, she attributes to divine intervention.
There is a God whose will transcends the desires of our hearts, one whose will directs us to the way that we might not have imagined.
The father-daughter, having not spoken for almost a year now, shared a public hug, drawing cheers from the crowd.
Happy Father's Day to all the fathers who make sure that another person is given the best of everything.
She later spoke about the many complex issues children face today, including some that may be close to her own personal experience.
The trauma of broken families, the lifelong baggage because of irresponsible and bad parenting, the abandonment issues due to an absentee parent.
Before the inaugural events, she joined her immediate family for a pictorial. President Duterte and her elder brother, Paulo, were not present. Still, her inauguration was unlike any other. The ceremony was held amid a backdrop of a pandemic. There's also the high level of security, since this was the first time ever Mindanao hosted one of the nation's most traditional political events. About 600 VIPs attended the event, including national and local officials and members of the diplomatic community.
We know that she will bring her brand of leadership of Davao City to the country.
Kundi siya nagwinod, di sana presidente siya. Pero kumbaga, panahon.
Since the inauguration was merely ceremonial, Sara Duterte will not assume her new post until the end of the month. David Santos, CNN Philippines.
Straight to the source of the story, we have political analyst and Center for People Empowerment in Governance, Vice Chair Roland Simbulan. Professor Simbulan, welcome back to the source. Thank you so much for your time.
Good morning, Pinky, and magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat.
Can you tell us your thoughts, your assessment on the inaugural speech of Vice President-elect Sara Duterte?
Well, first of all, let me just point out that as far as I know, this is the first time that there is a high-profile, I would say, high-profile inauguration of the vice president, because normally the vice president combines her inaugural ceremonies, no, with the presidents, no, especially if they are allies or are in tandem. No? So I don't know of any situation in the past where the vice president-elect had a very, very high profile and very public inaugural ceremony 2 weeks before the
Right.
president. Well, of course, she made very important broad strokes in her inaugural speech. Although I would say that she did not have to mention things related to her family problems, no? Because of
So,
course,
do you think she did or she didn't?
I think she did.
Okay.
Because the fact that there was mention of, of course, she did it in a very general way. She mentioned it in a very general
Right.
way. But,
On how
of course,
important the family is.
yes, but she also did mention that, the strife within the family has affected her very much, the way it has affected other people. But I think that part of the speech did not have to be included.
Okay. So there could be lots of different perspectives on that, on how important. Well, of course, she started with this, that what is a priority in her life because of the events that has happened, and what we should also look into are three priority issues. She mentioned God, she mentioned country, and she mentioned family, in that order. So God, basically, country and family. She also had revealed at this point where she said that her original plan really was to be a doctor, but things didn't happen the way they did or how she had wanted them to be. And she eventually became a lawyer, and then she wanted to serve 3 terms as mayor, and that didn't happen too. And then now she's the vice president with 32.2 million votes. So I guess that talks about the God and the willing to serve the country aspect. But there's a third important priority issue here, which is where she had talked about family.
Yes. I think the mention of God first is an indirect way of her saying that if this is her destiny, no? That was for her. This is her destiny, no? And whatever the future will hold, it's still all a matter of destiny. I think that's the gist of her mentioning these 3 points with God as the first.
It's also important to note that she talked about the complex, what she called the complex future of the children. She started out, I believe, with poverty, and then, as we had talked about earlier, broken families, and she went on even to gender discrimination and even bullying. And it goes back to saying that it starts with a loving family. What was she really trying to impart to each and every one of us about how, the family is the most important unit in society?
Yeah, I think she was trying to mention this thing based on her own experience in her life, no? But at the same time, I feel that she mentioned this, especially in relation to children and their formation, no? Because she's going to face very formidable challenges as DepEd secretary, no, as cabinet member, and
Right.
especially the DepEd, which is in charge of the entire basic education in the Philippines, has the largest departmental budget and personnel, no, and it also covers an estimated 27.3 million children, no, who are in elementary and high school. So it's really a very formidable task ahead of her. And I think this is why probably she mentioned also the family in relation to this, because the family is also a very important partner of basic education in the formative years of children.
Were you expecting her to lay down possibly more programs or specific programs that will deal with the basic education, as she will be the incoming education secretary? Or was the inaugural speech really first just about being the vice president-elect?
In a way, parang we can say na parang padaklis ito, no? Padaklis. But I think in the coming months, she is going to deal more, no, with problems, formidable problems of our educational system, because it's really a big challenge. And considering that her background is not really as an educator, and most of the former education secretaries, no, were educators all their lives, or were presidents of some of the biggest universities in the country. Of course, there have been some politicians like Raul Roco and also Butch Abad, who have been education secretaries who were not educators, no, but they have had exposure in as chairs or vice chairs of the committees of education in either Congress or the Senate. So coming from the local government into the education sector, I think she will need a lot of guidance by people to manage, this department, which has the largest personnel, roughly, because if you include K-12 now, K-12, which is part of basic education, halos 900,000 yung personnel dito, no, na public school teachers, no. So it's a very formidable task ahead of her, and I think this alone will have her hands full, no, during the 6 years.
And what kind or what brand of leadership are you expecting from Vice President-elect Sara Duterte?
Well, the strong expectation here is that she will be an inspiration to the youth, no, as well as to educators, no, because right, we are still reeling from the COVID-19 pandemic, and the problems that we had in the educational sector even before the pandemic were already there, and they have further been aggravated, no, by the COVID-19 pandemic and the lockdowns. So this is really a very formidable task. And I said, the by the bureaucracy alone of the DepEd, as far as I know, they have eight USECs, no, including the chief of staff, who is a USEC. No? They have 8. I think probably one of the largest, the most number USECs in the departments, and they have several bureaus, no, which are helping the department.
All right.
Imagine they cover 47,000 public elementary and high schools, as well as 12.5 thousand private schools and universities, no, private schools rather, no, mainly in basic education. So really, that's a very formidable challenge ahead of her.
Political analyst Roland Simbulan, sir, thank you so much for your time.
Welcome.
And coming up, health experts see a rise in COVID cases, but the health department clarifies there is no surge. Health spokesperson Maria Rosario Vergere joins us live after the break. Please stay tuned.